Imagine you're at the edge of your seat with 1:45 on the clock. The Chiefs have just taken the lead, the crowd is loud, and then one tiny twitch of a foot turns a near certainty into a headline you'll regret reading. That's what happened Monday night. NFL.com. For most of that game, it felt like the Chiefs were playing the kind of sloppy, barely held together footsie that, that makes even the calmest fan squint at the scoreboard. But in the final moments, after Kansas City grabbed a 28-24 lead, Harrison Butker, the kicker who has been the team's rock for years, launched a kickoff that went out of bounds. The Jaguars were awarded the ball at their own 40, and Trevor Lawrence needed only 117 to turn that gift into a game-winning touchdown. One mishit kickoff, one incredible Lawrence drive, and the Chiefs were suddenly 2-3. The tape is merciless. NFL.com. This is why special teams plays feel so small, but matter so much. Field position is the currency of late games. A deep, well-placed kickoff forces an offense to climb the field under time pressure. A mistake like an out-of-bounds boot hands the opponent a head start. Credit to Trevor Lawrence. He made the throws and the scramble, but credit also to the mechanics of the game. 60 yards in 90 seconds becomes a lot easier when you start at the opponent's 40. Coaches spend entire weeks teaching players how to avoid handing the opposition those moments. In prime time, the margin for human error is microscopic. NFL.com, the reaction was immediate and brutal. Social feeds lit up with fans demanding Butker be released, calling for a wholesale reset of Kansas City's special teams unit, and generally treating a single lat game error like an act of national betrayal. That fury is loudest on X and in the comment sections, but if we're honest, it's also what fandom looks like at 2-3, emotional, impatient, and hungry for a scapegoat. Still, the volume of calls to cut the kicker tells you two things. Chiefs fans expect spotless execution, and they are not afraid to build narratives overnight. Yahoo Thethau. Now, let's be careful with the quick judge instinct. Butker's season isn't unredeemable. He's made huge kicks for Kansas City for years, but the numbers this year have been notably off. Through 5 games, he's 10 for 13 on field goals and 11 for 13 on extra points, percentages that sit below the reliability the Chiefs expect from a kicker whose leg has been a late-game safety net for the franchise. Those misses pile up in the public mind. When you miss in every game, even small miscues become big storylines. The stats can't be excused, but they also don't tell the whole story of why the Chiefs lost on Monday. ESPN.com. The broader context is important. This team didn't lose because of a single kickoff. It lost because a chain of tiny collapses intersected at the worst possible moment. Mahomes had the interception earlier and a penalty late that cost yardage. Other defensive and offensive mistakes compounded into a fragile outcome that cracked in the final minute. When everything is brittle, the first loud mistake becomes the one everyone remembers. That's why sports highlight reels are cruel. They compress a complex game into a single frame and call it the cause of defeat. AP News. So what are the rational options for the Chiefs organization here? The emotional option, fire the kicker, replace the unit, make headlines, is simple and satisfying for angry fans. The rational option is uglier. Evaluate why Butker is off, double down on coaching for technique and timing, consider rotational snaps in practice to rebuild confidence, and perhaps even test a contingency plan for kickoff placement until the kicker's mechanics settle. Teams that panic at the first sign of fans' fury risk creating more instability than the original mistake caused. The smarter play is surgical. Fix what's broken without torching the bed. KC Kingdom. That said, the reality of the NFL is brutal and fast. The Chiefs are a marquee franchise with sky-high expectations. Mistakes by veteran leaders are less easily forgiven because the team can afford to expect excellence. Butker's value extends beyond a single kickoff. He's been a playoff-winning kicker before, and organizations often weigh long-term trust against short-term anger. If the coaching staff believes he's fixable, they'll back him publicly while working privately. If they don't, the search for a replacement begins quickly, because at this level, tolerance for recurring error is low. ESPN.com. From a fan psychology angle, there's a second-level play. Scapegoats distract us from deeper questions. Should the offense have run more clock earlier? Did Mahomes make a coaching mistake with that timeout? Why weren't certain defensive assignments executed? Butker's kickoff is the simplest, most visible error to point at, and pointing is emotionally satisfying. Yet, if the Chiefs want to fix systemic problems, they'll address the whole chain: coaching decisions, special team schemes, and player execution, not just the man who kicked the ball. AP News. So, where does this leave Butker personally? He's in a fragile place, a veteran with a reputation who now needs to produce routine perfection to quiet the noise. That's a heavy load, psychologically. Coaches often treat these moments with a mix of accountability and support, technique work, confidence drills, and, crucially, public messaging that indicates whether the organization trusts the kicker. If the team shows continued public faith and he responds with a clean week in practice and a clutch kick on Sunday, the story quiets. If misses continue, the chorus for replacement grows louder and decision calendar accelerates toward an inevitable fork. CBS Sports final thought, and the line you'll probably retell at your next bar debate. NFL seasons are written in tiny moments and decided by the players who can make or survive them. Harrison Butker's kickoff was the most visible mistake in a game full of them, and visibility is why he's the villain tonight. But villains are a cheap narrative device. The real story is how the team responds. Does Kansas City patch the leak and move on, or does it feed the mob and trade long-term stability for a headline? That answer will tell you more about the Chiefs than any single missed kick. So, blame the man, blame the system, or blame the gods of primetime? Pick your side. You watch one tiny motion, a kicker's stride, a boot, and suddenly an entire game rewrites. That's what happened Monday night. Harrison Butker's kickoff went out of bounds after the Chiefs took a 28-24 lead. The Jaguars got the ball at the 40. Trevor Lawrence engineered a short, brutal march, and Jacksonville walked off with a 31-28 win. NFL.com, it's the kind of mistake that looks small in isolation but huge in context. Kickoffs out of bounds aren't just sloppy. They hand the opponent premium field position with a minute and change left. The Chiefs were already drowning in self-inflicted wounds, 13 flags for 109 yards per reports, and that penalty was the instant the game slipped away. ATOSsports.com. Fans are furious and loud about it. Social feeds filled up immediately with calls to cut Butker, with some even demanding the team purge the entire special teams unit. That frenzy has a logic. In a one-score game late, a kicker is supposed to be a steadying presence, not the reason the opponent starts within striking distance. But public rage and roster moves are different things. Yahoo Thethau reality check. Butker is a proven kicker with a long resume, and he's still making the majority of his attempts this year. He's been the Chiefs' go-to specialist through multiple seasons of playoff runs. That matters when you weigh one bad kick against a track record of high-leverage success. The team won't cut a top-paid, long-tenured place kicker solely because of one error, especially when the loss also featured penalties, defensive miscues, and a defensive DPI that erased a turnover. Arrowheadaddict.com. That said, context matters. The Chiefs are 2-3, the margin for error is thinning, and this was the kind of public, repeatable mistake that fans remember. If Butker's misfires become a pattern, missed kicks, directional issues on kickoffs, game-changing errors, the front office will have to consider competition. For now, the practical move for Kansas City is not an emotional cut, but accountability. Review technique, adjust kickoff strategy, directional kicks, squib options, and lean on coaching to stop this from repeating. SI coaches and players will feel the heat too. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes can't hide the frustration when penalties and execution errors cost games. But football is full of ugly losses that are multi-causal. One bad kick becomes a focal point because it's tangible and replayable. The smarter teams treat those moments as fixable process failures, not sole reasons to fire faith in a veteran. NFL.com, long story short, the out-of-bounds kickoff was decisive and combustible, an understandable flashpoint for furious fans, but it's probably not a one-kick firing offense yet. It's a warning shot. If Butker follows this with more critical slip-ups, the noise turns into a real roster problem. For now, expect accountability, technical fixes, and a very loud fan base keeping score. Yahoo Thethau.